Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back for your daily crypto news and analysis. And today we are going to be talking about Ripple and XRP, as was the vast majority of crypto and finance. And with that being said, let's just dive in and let's start off with this article here that still holds a pretty large amount of weight to it, more than ever before. So today we are going to be talking about the end game scenario. Which is what's Swift going to do within the next couple of years and what will they become? Going all the way back to over a year ago to May 26, 2022, we've seen the World Economic Forum 2022 event where the MasterCard CEO said Swift probably won't exist in 5 years. Now, to clarify, what he really meant was the fact that, one, it was not as simple as saying yes or no, and he was simply reinforcing what Swift has previously said: their operations continue to evolve. Its current form will not be the same in the future. They are adding more functionality and moving past just being a messaging system. And this is also quoting this tweet here from Swift, which goes all the way back to May 19th. We're collaborating with Capgemini to explore how Swift can interlink the multiple domestic-based CBDC networks emerging worldwide to make cross-border payments with digital currencies more seamless and frictionless. What's interesting about this, more than ever before, is where Ripple stands with Swift. Because for the longest time around this market, what we've heard is Ripple's killing Swift. Swift is killing Ripple. They're competing. Who's going to be victorious? In my opinion, very complementary. Meaning, if Ripple helps Swift, essentially, Ripple expands their network to over 11,000 plus financial institutions. That's a huge deal. Now, why would this ever happen? Well, first off, the CBDC networks, well, we already know that Ripple is creating a CBDC platform, which essentially, with RippleNet, is a CBDC network, in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's how I look at it. Now, also, how are they going to make cross-border payments with digital currencies more seamless and frictionless? I wonder how they can do that. Oh yeah, that's right. Ripple's platform also makes cross-border payments with any currency, meaning digital currencies, stablecoins, you name it, right? More seamless and frictionless than ever before, as well as a lot faster, a lot more cost-effective. And I mean, the efficiencies that are unlocked through crypto and digital currencies, and even utilizing Ripple's platform for an example around finance and transactions, well, it's night and day compared to the traditional world. So as we do look at Swift, the big thing in my mind is the fact that Swift needs to innovate, or they will cease to exist within the next 5-10 years. But also, remember the quote from David Schwartz himself. My dream scenario is Swift makes a deal with Ripple where all their banks get to use RippleNet for free, maybe even paying Swift. Fits our XRP strategy perfectly. And again, the idea around XRP is that they want to position it as a global bridge currency. That's their overall goal with XRP. The strategy around XRP is to bridge currencies and make the global financial system a lot more efficient through transactional demand and efficiencies. So as we do look at this, this is right on par with their idea. Now, also remember, everyone looked at Swift GPI and said, that's a Ripple killer. It's done. XRP's useless, which I thought was comical at the time because, again, when you look at Swift GPI, it makes payments faster, but it doesn't make settlement faster. With rapid payments, it demands rapid settlement. It's crucial. And also, over here, Bob Way, a key player, going all the way back to 2019, and this quoted tweet is actually from 2022. Nice find. That is exactly why the term has become so popular. Once you have atomic settlement via 2 central banks, the game is over. Every other central bank will follow. Otherwise, their country would be at a significant disadvantage. And what do you see here? Reminder, remember how little was known about central bank work in this area at that time. The idea that Ripple would be working with central banks on CBDCs, an XRP ledger, private CBDC ledger, was considered hype and hopium at that time. Today, more than ever, as we do look at Ripple, they have expanded rapidly. CBDCs have become a real thing. They're growing every single day. 90% of central banks are on board with CBDCs. And Ripple, which today, comparing it back to 2019, it is extremely different. And as a company, well, they've become much larger and even bigger than anyone could have ever imagined in such a short amount of time. In my opinion, yes, the CBDC platform that Ripple has announced is becoming a big deal because all of the major initiatives that have been taken in the last couple weeks have been centered out on CBDC adoption for Ripple. You have Colombia, you have Montenegro. I mean, there's so many other players tied to this as well. And in my opinion, the future around CBDCs is going to most likely be reliant on private players and their CBDC platforms like Ripple's. And when you think about that, well, how can we tie it into global payments? Well, you directly have that integration with Swift, just like David Schwartz is saying, where Swift makes a deal with Ripple, where all their banks get to use RippleNet for free, maybe even paying Swift, which would be a huge deal. And again, it allows XRP to settle and bridge all of these CBDCs. And remember that if you go over to Ripple's website and you go to the CBDC platform and you watch the video, I know that, again, I repeat this all the time. In that video, they even say that XRP would bridge these CBDCs within that platform. This is why I'm heavily focused on these initiatives taking place within Ripple's ecosystem. And then, of course, when we look at atomic settlement, here you guys have Ripple's PDF file. This goes back, I think, 2022, I'm pretty sure. Here you have atomic settlements via central banks, real-time 24/7 payments with local currency settlement via central banks. Here you guys have it. Again, as we do look at this, like this has already been solved. Atomic settlement between two central bank digital currencies, for an example, has already been solved. Now, has it happened yet? Not exactly, but once it does, I think a lot of things are going to start moving very fast from that point on. Just like Bob Way is saying, like this is when the game is over. This is when every single other central bank will follow. And just recently, this year, maybe I'm wrong, but what I've seen is a massive flood of CBDC initiatives and announcements happening. The BIS is now testing with Quant and the Bank of England. I mean, if you would have told me that Quant would be having this experiment with the BIS and the Bank of England in 2023, I would tell you that you're crazy. So as we do look at this, like, yeah, this is becoming a reality. And I think that everything is falling into place. And as we do look at Swift, like all eyes are on Swift on what they are about to do next, because again, they are one of the largest payment networks out there. If not, they are. And remember, just recently, which I did include in a video, Brooks Entwistle from Ripple, literally meeting on a panel with Circle, Swift, Thunes Payments, Mohaloop, and 80 Little. Swift is here. They're talking about crypto's huge potential to solve for payments interoperability globally. I mean, the writing is on the wall. Either you see it or you don't. And then also going back in time a little bit, Swift, right? The announcements to connect digital islands. Swift supports trade digitization with new interoperability trials. Remember what I talked about with Zinfin. Zinfin has direct ties with Swift. This goes back to May 24th. I'm actually most likely going to be doing a video here soon, today, on Zinfin with Swift. Because again, the connections are so vast with that. Swift is working with a lot of these major players within the space. And it's centered out on utility tokens. You could see the future being created here. And it's something that we've been so hyper focused on because this is most likely going to be one of the largest opportunities out there. The next 5 to 10 years are going to look extremely different around this space. That's why being in the space right now is so crucial. And then also, Swift, going back to June of this month, June 6th, of this month, Swift explores blockchain interoperability to remove friction from tokenized asset settlement. Again, here you guys have exploring blockchain interoperability. Oh yeah, what's Brooks Entwistle talking about over here with Swift? Oh yeah, that's right. Solve for payments interoperability with crypto's huge potential to solve it. Pretty interesting. And then within this, you could read all about what they are doing. They're working with some very large names out there. They have this experiment actually going on with some very, very large players out there. You have Six Digital Exchange, you have the DTCC, which is settling trillions of dollars every single day. And this is actually working with Chainlink for interoperability. A lot of people will say it's quant, but they are working with Chainlink here, which again is another asset that I hold. And in fact, it's extremely sold off. We might get another discount on it, but I'm looking at Chainlink for the long term. It's a huge player. But also, you know, there's a few things within this that they are looking at in terms of blockchain networks. Each has its own functionality or liquidity profile, which creates significant overhead and friction in managing and trading the assets. So they want to bridge all of these with interoperability. It could either be, listen, I don't care if it's Chainlink, I don't care if it's Quant. Interoperability will be solved through either one, which I'm fine with. But it's so clear on what they're trying to do. They are trying to connect the Swift network with DLT networks. And it's so that the global payment landscape, if you will, can be a lot more efficient through leveraging not only the existing infrastructure, but also DLT and blockchain. And we even do see down here, like, more institutions are beginning to explore how to serve customers on both permission and public blockchain networks like Ethereum. This is raising questions around the key use cases and what would be required to support these activities in a secure and compliant manner. Yeah, institutions have been ready for a while now. And now, today, more than ever, they are extremely ready. Our experiments will help advance the industry's understanding about the technical and business requirements involved when interacting with and between multiple blockchain networks. They will also highlight the potential value of using a blockchain interoperability protocol to securely transfer data and value between legacy systems and a potentially unlimited number of blockchains. Again, they are centered out on both public and private DLT platforms and connecting with Swift's infrastructure. But we have been hyper-focused on this for so long because this is what we've been discussing with what will happen with Ripple and Swift at some point in time, and will they be connected? And it kind of seems as though they will at some point in time. It's inevitable because, again, for Swift to continue to become, or I shouldn't say become, but stay that leader around payment technology, well, they will have to innovate. And Ripple right now is expanding rapidly every single day, recently into Singapore. They're becoming, I shouldn't even say becoming, they are at this point a massive giant and a force to be reckoned with. And then also over here, April 12th, building a brighter payments future, centered out on cross-border payments, CBDCs. Again, they see the value here. They understand what is happening. And we do see in recent years, we've brought major improvements across border payments made across our network with end-to-end tracking, transparency in fees and FX rates, and the ability for transactions to complete in minutes or seconds. The biggest problem is that they don't have instant settlement yet. And when you have faster payments, well, faster payments demand faster settlement, And we even do see here, like, the G20 has outlined a roadmap to improve the speed, cost, transparency, choice, and accessibility of cross-border payments, and new developments are coming thick and fast to help realize these goals. So what's driving these changes? And we do see heightened competition, building connections, front-end innovations as well. And yeah, there's a lot of drivers here. And they do mention Swift Go, right? So even Swift GPI, both of these, Swift Go, Swift GPI, they're just major upgrades to the Swift network. The biggest problem is that you don't have instant settlement yet. Instant settlement is going to be crucial. And they even do talk a little bit about CBDCs and how they can be linked with existing RTGS payment systems, which we've just recently talked about. And we also do see even, like, one notable example of Swift GPI in terms of helping banks provide an innovative services in the front end and embed their services into the e-commerce transaction experience. We've created ways to embed the data from GPI in our front end systems. We've created services where clients can get that data and feed it into their ERPs and do things like auto reconciliation. What a huge difference that service has made. Again, they're just really kind of talking about the upgrades that they have made. But the problem is, right, is what about the innovations happening within the private sector? Because the private sector has already, achieved much greater efficiencies than what Swift has done. And I really don't think that Swift is going to get ahead of what's happening around the private sector in terms of crypto and blockchain technology without innovating beyond the means of what they've already done with Swift Go or Swift GPI. And what's wild about all of this is, well, guess what? Over here, how RippleNet plus XRP can settle payments with Swift GPI via API bridge setups through partnerships like Temenos. SAP, TAS, etc. Sorry. Plus independent of Swift / no Ripple Swift partnership, need it. Again, this is why when we talk about, Ripple working with Swift, they don't technically even need to work with each other. You could have, XRP settling payments with Swift GPI without them even having a partnership. Shout out to ISO 20022. Let's do it over on Twitter for this. And here you guys have the breakdown of this. What's kind of comical about this is that this is the exchange idea with RippleNet. So you'll have XRP at the center point as the exchange with RippleNet. This is the real-time settlement layer, and then the real-time payment layer. Remember what we've said. Real-time payments demand real-time settlement. This is exactly how I envision it as well. What's crazier about all of this is the IMF has actually envisioned this going all the way back to August of 2020. This is the IMF Financial Sector Assessment Program. Technical note on supervision of financial market infrastructures, resilience of central counterparties and innovative technologies. Within this, if we scroll all the way down, let me actually just look up RippleNet. So RippleNet is mentioned 6 times within this document. And down here, this is very interesting. So this is this payments landscape. And under exchanges, as you guys do see here, is DLT platforms, e.g. RippleNet, IBM, WorldWire, and Center Stablecoin Network. Again, this is the only other time that I've actually seen RippleNet being labeled under exchanges, minus this announcement recently, which is a PDF file talking about the exchangement between Swift GPI and RippleNet and how this could essentially work. Again, this would be the perfect way of envisioning it. Or, if you wanted to look at something a lot more complex, where you have wholesale payments and retail payments, all centered out through the entire payment landscape. We're talking about money remittances, checks, card payments, real-time payments, all that kind of stuff. You even have like payment aggregators, card networks, commercial banks, and all of this can get pushed through exchanges, meaning it could be DLT platforms out there. It could be RippleNet. It could be IBM. It doesn't matter, right? We don't need RippleNet to be the only player within this. There's going to be multiple players, and there's going to be a ton of money being pushed through these exchanges. So, hey, 1%, 2%, 5% of those payments could ultimately change the entire landscape around some of these assets. Now, do I think that, on-demand liquidity, for an example, is going to change the value of XRP? Not necessarily. I think that's going to stabilize the price, and with all of the demand from the retail sector, the institutional grade sector, and the enterprise grade sector, all of that tied into one is going to create not only a floor for XRP, but a ton of demand for XRP, and the supply is still pretty limited. Again, a lot of people look at 100 billion and think that's a lot. In my opinion, I don't think it is. And with that, I do think that that's where a drastic price increase for XRP will come from. But again, we're still years away from this being a reality. I think that we still have quite a bit of time, which is very beneficial for those out there that are not set up for that. Because again, I think that we have a lot more time. You don't have to rush out and start buying, $100,000 worth of XRP. You can accumulate it, and that's very beneficial for those out there that don't have tens of thousands of dollars to drop on this market. And I don't advise you guys to, because again, this market is still speculative. We don't know what's going to happen within the next couple of years. But in my opinion, as we do look at all these documents, and as we do look at, the past, going even all the way back to 2017, for an example, Ripple back then was even working with the IMF. And this is Ripple hosting world central banks to explore next generation of payments. Again, this is why I say, I have no doubt when it comes to Ripple. Of course, I can be wrong. Right? I can be wrong. This is my opinion. Again, this is with the IMF talking about, the change market structure, opening new possibilities in payments, talking about Ripple and their own work on interledger, cross-border payments. And I really do think that as we look at the future of payments, and we even look at the future of liquidity, which they even mention here, the future of liquidity is here. It's really kind of centered out on leveraging digital currencies. A lot of these digital currencies like XRP, bring a ton of value to our financial system, and many systems out there, not even just financial systems. And I think that this is something that everyone needs to be looking into, because the old tech, like the old connections here, when they were talking about this technology and they're talking about the future of payments, these are still very, very strong references today more than ever before. Because again, this is 2017. Go look at all the PDF files and the documents just coming out recently from the IMF centered out on the next generation of payments, or the future of payments and the technology of payments. I mean, you can tie it right back to Ripple, because Ripple has been sitting next to these individuals for so long. There's so many meetings where you have Brad Garlinghouse sitting next to Christine Lagarde and IMF directors. I mean, to me, our future is already solidified. We just have to be patient. We have to wait. And that's it. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe to notifications on. If you guys have more free content, you guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. As always, hope that you all have a beautiful day or a beautiful night wherever you guys are in this beautiful world. This has been Nick. Peace out, guys.